I say, this is called the day after. I don't know about you, but Hashana is very hard work. And the day after is the day that you crash, or that you shouldn't crash. The Gemara says, the body follows the head. The body follows the head. I remember a year, Tafshin Dal Mim, this year it's going to be 40 years since that event. That was really upset. It was Chanukah, I'll never forget it. That was really upset. What was he upset about? He was upset that no one was taking the Farbrengen seriously. That was Farbrengen, and he was talking. He asked questions and he didn't answer them. He always, whenever he asked questions, he gave answers. But that week he didn't answer. And he wanted to see how we would react. And no one did anything. And the Rebbe got really upset. He spoke about it. And he told a story that I think the Rebbe Marash was in Italy. And the Rebbe said, Italia is given a Medina Azoins. Italy, at least then, was backwards. So everything was inefficient, nothing was on time, there was no order. So the steam engine was a new invention. The steam engine was invented in the 1850s, which is during the lifetime of the Tzemach Tzedek. And they had this big, massive locomotive. It was a massive tank that had a furnace, and they were cooking coal and burning coal and boiling water, and it was a whole situation. And this locomotive was whistling, whoo-hoo, it was like a whole thing, Anyway, the locomotive takes off, and the trains, the cars with the cargo remain sitting. They forgot to couple, they forgot to connect the locomotive to the rest of the cars. So the Rebbe said, this is a lesson in Avodas Hashem. The cup can't pfeifen, the head is whistling, and smoke is flying, and there's a fire. And the Wagonen stehen bleiben auf der Nord, and the wagons remain in one place, you have to link them up. So the Rebbe talked about himself. He said the head is busy, and he's pfeifen, and there's blast of fire, and there's fire, and there's smoke, and there's whistling, and everyone else is asleep. The Rebbe said, I can sit in my room and talk to myself, or have to come downstairs and bother you. The Rebbe was really upset. But this story about the train has been told by the Rebbe many times, in many contexts. And one of the contexts is Yom Tov. Tishrei Bechlal, Rosh Hashana. For me, the day after is the hardest. The day after Rosh Hashana, I usually plots. The day after Yom Kippur, I always plots. The day after Simchas Torah, I for sure plots. And it's a pity. You know why it's a pity? Because you get so inspired. Everybody has a mini Rosh Hashana on some level, I would hope. And then the next day, it doesn't help that it's a fast day between me and you. Don't tell that to the religion, but the fact that you fast, it's that you're so tired. And the fast nechet, there were people who were very mekel. On the fast of Shem Gedalia, more people ate than any fast. Mamish. Because we had nishkat koyach. You don't sleep for 48 hours. You stand on your feet for 2 days, more or less straight. Your body is exhausted. And of course, you weren't just relaxing. But you're turning avoida. You were working, you were davening, you were trying to connect to the Eibishter, and you're exhausted. But it's a very important lesson, I know in my own life, to connect the head to the body. You know that the halacha, you ever look in Siddur, in Lubavitcher Siddur? I don't know if you have such a thing, and this is Lubavitcher Minyan, so Lubavitcher shows you can't find a Lubavitcher Siddur. That's how it was when I was growing up. But at the end of Yom Kippur, in the Machzor, I think, it says, Mochras Yom Kippurim Mashkim in the Beis HaKnesses. You speak Hebrew. The day after Yom Kippur, you get up early and go to shul. Mochras Yom Kippurim Mashkim in the Beis HaKnesses. There's a message. Yom Kippur, you fasted, and you did tshuva, and for 26 hours there was nothing but God. And then you ate some food, or maybe more than some. And the girls don't do Kiddush Lavona, but whatever it is. And then you go to sleep, and then what happens the next day? Lazy day, right? In camp, after Kolbo was lazy day. You slept till noon. But the problem, it's a good experience. The only one problem. Then Yom Kippur is verschlafen. You want to connect it. So the day after Rosh Hashanah is Tzim Gedalia. The day after Yom Kippur, there's Simchas Torah. These are days that you want to figure out how not to sleep away the seminary. To say you're at 100%, I'm not at 100%. I'm sure you're not at 100%. You don't have the koyach. You have no koyach. But you want to connect Rosh Hashanah to the year, because that makes Rosh Hashanah not just meaningful, but purposeful. Right? Rosh Hashanah is a great day. It's very nice, very inspired. But the value of Rosh Hashanah is that because of Rosh Hashanah, I have a different year. The value of Yom Kippur and the value of Tishrei in general is because of Tishrei have a different year. And the critical moment is right away. The Rebbe used to tell people, when you make a hachlata, start immediately. Make a good hachlata. From now on, I'm going to but I'm starting tomorrow. That never happens. I remember in my childhood, this is a real story. I grew up in a home that was open to the Baalei Tshuva. This is the 1970s when I was a kid. Crown Heights was inundated with an influx of Baalei Tshuva. They were beautiful people. They were amazed. Now they're grandfathers. I mean, they're many of your grandparents. Parents for sure, and probably, you took them now 50 years ago, Kamat. This is my childhood. My home, we saw them all. They all passed through our home. And we sat at the table, my father fabrang with them, and sometimes we understood. There were times my father would kick us out of the dining room if the conversation got too interesting. But I'll never forget this. We were sitting at our Shabbos table on a Shabbos afternoon, and there were two women, one of whom has now passed away, but I remember her. She lived in Crown Heights her whole life. And the other one, I don't know who she was. But there was a lot of whispering going on. My father was talking softly, which was not typical, and she was talking softly. And I remember that they were both crying, the two ladies were crying. And when she got up to leave the table, my father followed her to the door, and he talked to her, and she cried some more, and then she left. And what I understood, as I must have been 9, what I understood was that my father was pressuring her not to be Machal Shabbos, that she should keep Shabbos. Now, at the time, I didn't understand, but I later, how many people in our house would leave from our Shabbos table and get on the train? It happened all the time. Chabad houses, forget about, right? Start talking about halacha and Shabbos, you don't want to go there. But why was my father so adamant about not letting her be Machal Shabbos? So as an adult, I told my father the story, I reminded him of the story. He says, Yossi, you don't understand. This woman had decided to keep Shabbos. For real. But she had a bar mitzvah in her family. So she decided to start keeping the next Shabbos. And I remember how much it bothered my father. You're going to keep Shabbos? And you're giving it up for a bar mitzvah in the Reform Temple next week. That's what the story was. If you're going to keep Shabbos, it was not a from girl, right? She was going to keep Shabbos, a big step. But if you make her be keeping Shabbos, Shabbos is before all else. So this is a story of my childhood that I relive in my head often because it's very poignant. I remember the whispering and the crying. I was a little kid, but it left a very powerful impact. Anyway, the point is, when you had Rosh Hashana, a good Rosh Hashana, the minute after Rosh Hashana, you want to link Rosh Hashana to the year. Today, so you all came to school today. I got to tell you, in the rain, and you're all tired. I was told the class is going to be half empty by cynical people, not by the school, by realists. The room's not full, but it's not full, but it's certainly more than half full. Baruch Hashem. So happy that you're here, and hope you have an inspiring Asasime Tshuva, an inspiring Yom Kippur. The hard thing about Judaism is to keep it forever. Everyone gets a good mood, Yiddishkeit's a way of life. There's no, Yiddishkeit, you don't do it when you're like between 16 and 19 and you have free time and you're inspired. Agans Aleben. But now you draw the koiches, seminary years, high school years, these are the best years of your life. The Bachim is the same thing. I think about it all the time. People get married and then they have to think about other people and other things. So I don't know what to say. Enjoy it, take advantage of it, be inspired by it, make it last. Make it last. Hashem should give us health and seichel. Because that you can't buy. Health you can't buy. You be the richest man in the world or woman, you can't buy health. And for seichel, you for sure you can't buy. You have health and seichel. And all the other gifts will use the health and the seichel, the Eibush to give us to get rich and to get married and to have children. Children also you can't buy, let me tell you. Children you also you can't buy. If they come, you say, oh no, I got too many. But when they don't come, what do you do then? Okay.